James and Eliza were playing badminton in their aunt's garden when their aunt went from the garden gate into the house with something in her hand, which James thought looked like apples.
"Do you know what my aunt is going to do with those apples?"
asked James.
"I did not see any apples,"
answered Eliza, and she kept her eye fixed on the shuttlecock.
"When we have done this game, we will go and see the apples,"
said James, and he turned his head round towards the house.
"The game is mine! The game is mine!"
cried Eliza as she saw the shuttlecock fall to the ground. James threw down his racket on the grass and then laid himself down beside it while Eliza stood by him.
"This is the first game at shuttlecock I ever lost in my life."
"You would not have lost it if you had minded what you were doing instead of thinking about your aunt's apples."
James jumped up from the place where he had been lying.
"Come, I had forgotten the apples. I am sure they were apples. Let us go and look at them."
"Why should we want to see them or think about them? They are not for us. Or my aunt would have called us and given them to us."
James took hold of his sister by the arm and pulled her along with him into the house and then into the living room.
"Here are the apples. Oh, what beauties, Eliza. See? I never saw such apples in my life."
James laid his 2 elbows on the sideboard where the apples were standing and leaned his head over them so that his nose almost touched them.
"Do you not think that these apples must be very juicy and sweet?"
"As they are not mine, brother, I have not yet thought about them."
After saying this, she went out of the room and went into the garden and sat down upon a little bench, which her aunt had made for her little nephews and nieces to sit upon. She thought that her brother would not meddle with the apples. As soon as Eliza was gone, James thought to himself that if he were to take one of the apples, his aunt could never miss it.
"I dare say she will never have such nice apples again."
When he had said this, he took one of the apples and was so eager to eat it that he put almost the half of it into his mouth, but he was very much vexed and disappointed when he found that his teeth stuck so fast in the apple that he could hardly get it out of his mouth again. Just at this moment his aunt came in and caught him with the apple in his hand and his teeth full of wax, for these beautifully fine apples were good for nothing but to look at. They were made of wax and were so well made and so finely colored that no one could have known them from real apples. James was so ashamed that he could not say a word to his aunt.
"James,"
his aunt said,
"I am really sorry to find that you cannot see anything which you think nice without taking some of it away. I bought these waxen apples this afternoon of the man who made them, and I only bought them because he was much in want of money and nobody would buy them off him. I did not think you would have touched them, or I should have put them out of your way."
James said he was really ashamed of and sorry for what he had done, and that he thought he should never do so again.
"I hope you will not, my dear, but I must send you home tomorrow, notwithstanding, because all the ripe fruit in the orchard is going to be gathered in the day after tomorrow, and if you should eat too much, you may be made ill by it."
The next day James was sent home, but Eliza stayed with her aunt a month longer, and when she went home, her aunt gave her 2 little baskets full of fruit,